Finally, we have a more fun build for farming than the corpse explosion. We've used that build for so long, but now it's time to change. Today I got the last essence I needed to create this build, and here we are with the new to best farm build for the Necromancer in Diablo Immortal. So as always, we are going to start by explaining the build with the skills. For this build we are using a mix of old and new essences, and I will show every single one of them in a few minutes. By the way, if you are not subscribed to the channel yet, this might be a good time to do so. Now, let's check out the skills we are using. First, we have Corpse Lance with two different essences. One of them is the new offhand essence that makes this build possible. The other one is a helmet essence which helps us to trigger our set items. This essence is quite important because we get damage and critical hit chance buffs from the set items. After that, we have the star of the show, Dark Curse. Once again, we are using two different essences. One of them is the new Pants essence which creates corpses for our Corpse Lance and at the same time deals damage to the enemies around you. The area of effect on this essence is so huge that you basically deal damage to every single monster on your screen. The Shoulders essence we use is as important as the first one because it increases the duration of Dark Curse by 39%, giving us only a few seconds of cooldown on the skill. Next, we have Bone Armor with only one essence. We are using the Orbiting Bone Spikes chest essence. I really like this essence because it helps you deal damage around while you are moving. Finally, we have Wraith Form. We are using it just because it gives us some extra movement ability. And Dark Curse still hits the enemies while using Wraith Form, so it is really good when you are moving between packs of monsters. And I'm using Soulfire as my primary attack skill, which I don't use much since everything dies while we are running around. That's all the skills we are using, so now let's check out the set items. First of all, we have to use 2 pieces of V2's Urges just to increase the duration of Bone Armor and Dark Curse. That's really important. After that, I'm using 2 pieces of Isitar to get that 30% increased movement speed when I kill a monster. And since we are killing monsters non-stop, we keep that buff all the time. And for the last 4 pieces, I'm using Banquet of Ice. This one gives us critical hit chance and damage increase. When you read the description, you need to deal some sort of continual damage to the enemies to get these buffs, and that's why we are using the helmet essence we use. Other than that, legendary gems like Viper's Bite and Everlasting Torment help you to apply that continual damage. Actually, Dark Curse itself triggers these set bonuses, so you don't really have to use specific legendary gems to trigger it. So that's the set item setup. You can use sets like Grace and Angmets instead of Banquet, but I'm pretty happy with my current choices. Now it's time to check out the legendary items we use. For the helmet we have Studied Menace. Corpse Lance now causes enemies to decay, dealing damage for 3 seconds. For the chest we are still using Flickering Warmth because you don't really need that new chest essence to kill monsters while doing open world farm or bounties. You don't need that extra critical hit chance since you already get some from the set items. Bone Armor instead summons 3 bone spikes that orbit you and damage any enemies they strike. For the Shoulders we have Linger Mantle. Dark Curse duration increased by 39%. For the Pants we are using the new Dark Curse essence called Fulsome Feeding. Dark Curse now creates a miasma that follows you, damaging nearby enemies and continually generating corpses. For the main hands we are using Revenant Wind and Stroke of Midnight. These are essences for Wraith Form and they don't matter too much. They are here because we don't have anything better to use instead. And for the first offhand we have the new Corpse Lance essence called Lower Creed. Corpse Lance no longer targets enemies, and instead now summons more lances from each corpse that seek out random enemies. And finally, for the additional offhand I'm using Spite Fater. Soulfire now has 25% chance to explode on hit, dealing damage to nearby enemies and causing them to burn. That's all the legendary items we have now. Let's talk about legendary gems you can use with this build. First of all, if you don't have vacant spots, using Blessed Pebble might be good to increase the duration of the skills we are using. Other than that, gems like Pain Clasp, Mother's Lament, Berserker's Eye and Ignis Scorn will work perfectly with this build. Obviously 5-star gems like Blood-Soaked Jade, Bottled Hope, Void Spark and Starfire Shard will be great as well since they are generally good for farm builds. Other than that, I'm sure you already know that you should use Treasure Hunter when you are doing open world farming to get more dust and scraps. If you already have your gear level at 30, then you can use Warden to farm faster. On top of that, don't forget to choose the Protector room with Shepherd's Burden Remnant to increase your size. Increased size makes you move faster, so that's why I'm recommending this. Well, that's all for this build. I hope you enjoy using it. I will release a full guide for the Necromancer pretty soon, and we are going to talk about all the details of the class in that video, so don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you don't want to miss my future content. Thanks for tuning in and take care. Actually, let's try our luck at Elder Rift and see if this new build brings any luck.